guys, it's me, Halloween Dan. Doing a really quick video today because I just wanted to inform you guys that I have finally done something I've really been looking forward to doing, and today I got my chance to do it. I've been talking about it for weeks, if not months, and yeah, finally I got to do something I've been looking forward to doing since probably around about February, and that is today I got the chance to go to Alton Towers, one of my favourite places in the world, and I got to ride the curse at Alton Manor. So join me while I tell you all about it and sort of review it, kind of. That's right, today I have been to Alton Towers and I have really enjoyed myself. Alton Towers is one of my absolute favourite destinations of places to go. It's a really fun day out. If you love roller coasters, tapped in with this kind of spooky, overall Halloween-esque vibe, Alton Towers should definitely be on your go-to list because it is amazing. I've said this before, I've said it in past videos, just being there, doesn't matter what the weather's doing, it just has this overall spooky vibe all year long. A lot of the rides are themed in a kind of spooky-esque kind of way. One of my favourites, I got to ride a couple of times, is Wicker Man, which is kind of a pagan creation that's being set on fire and you're being sacrificed to it. Really creepy and weird. There's 13, which is supposed to be like a kind of a ruined castle that's being excavated and looked at, and then they discover all kinds of weird stuff going in it. That's kind of creepy too. But one of the main rides I wanted to check out today was, without a doubt, the Curse at Alton Manor, which, if you've been living under some kind of a stone and you don't know anything about theme park rides or anything like that, then you will maybe not know that the Curse at Alton Manor is the redesign, the rehash of the original haunted house, which was then turned into Jewel, which is now the Curse at Alton Manor. I'm probably one of the few people who can remember it in all three formats, or the previous two, both as the original haunted house and as Jewel, and now the Curse at Alton Manor. And I have to say, I was not at all disappointed. Pretty much from the moment this was announced, I was excited. The haunted house and Jewel were both some of my favourite rides at Alton Towers ever. For obvious reasons, I'm Halloween Dan. I love anything that's spooky and weird and haunted. And that house, when you approach that house in Alton Towers, it just looks like you've been transformed to some creepy 1930s horror movie. It really does look the epitome, at least I think, of what a haunted house should look like, at least on the exterior. Now the exterior has been sort of adapted and changed and sort of aged a little bit, if anything. It looks even better, so I was not disappointed. The whole house looks creepy and overgrown and just like how a haunted house should look. They've kind of aged and greened up some of the stones of the building itself, so it kind of looks like it's been sat there gathering moss and dirt for a very long time. It's very cool, very creepy, and the overall look of the place is just what a haunted house should look like. Now, I took all kinds of footage while I was there, but sadly the next thing I'm going to talk about I accidentally didn't record. I thought I'd recorded this, but I didn't, so I've had to sort of download a load of images. Basically, attached to the haunted house is the queue line, which travels through a section of woodland that has always been called Gloomy Woods, which is attached to the haunted house. Now, Gloomy Woods was always sort of just dotted with tombstones and stuff to kind of give you that haunted vibe. But now that it's themed with the Curse at Alton Manor, the tombstones in this part of the woods they've really gone to town on them. They've made loads of different headstones with loads of fun and kind of creepy messages on it. Alongside the tombstones is this overarching vibe of dolls and childlike things, very creepy dolls, because this is what the theme of the haunted house now is this whole theme is based around a little girl named Emily Alton who lived in the house, who was kept in the attic and was treated very badly, and she becomes cursed and basically kills everybody who lived in the house, and the house is cursed and of course haunted. So this is the theme that runs throughout. You've got all these sort of discarded toys and things sort of in the graveyard and all over the place. And if you don't want to hear the next bit, because I am going to give some spoilers, so spoiler alert, the ride itself is themed heavily this way and has been changed to theme this way. Now, one of the nice things I liked about it, apart from the exterior that has changed ever so slightly just to kind of age it a little bit, is as you go in, one of my favourite parts of this ride was the fact that you walked in, it kind of felt the floor was unlevel, it kind of had that musty kind of old house smell. There were kind of cobweb covered creepy pictures and ornaments and things, and they'd kept all that. They'd kind of made it look like it was a house that was going up for sale. And then you go through to this next section where they're telling the story of Emily in a doll's house, which is the story that always went along with this, where there was always a little ghost girl moving around in a doll's house in this queue line as you were waiting to go onto the main ride. And that's what they've now based the entire story around. Now, I couldn't film on the ride itself, and nor did I really want to. I wanted to experience it, not look through a camera. But I have to say, the ride did live up to expectations. If I had to rate it, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. Not a full 10 out of 10 because there were one or two things that disappointed me. But generally, it was really, really cool. Everything had been themed with this kind of strange doll vibe. Everything was kind of looked like discarded toys and discarded dolls, and that it was all creepy. There was a section where you went through like a ballroom and all the guests were skeletons sort of lay in chairs and sort of all crooked like they'd been sat there for 100 years. A lot of the things popping out at you were kind of doll related. There's a really cool section that's always been part of the ride, but they've kind of made it look even cooler, where you're kind of going through this tunnel that's spiraling around you, and it kind of makes you feel like you're sort of going upside down. It's really, really strange. That's really cool effect, and they've kind of highlighted it with black lights and stuff. It's really cool. There's a giant spider. There's always been a giant spider, but now it kind of is linked into this theme of being in an attic and her being kept in an attic and all that kind of stuff. And as you work your way through the ride, there are lots of these moments where Emily is kind of the possessed Emily is kind of screaming at you. She wants to keep you almost like a doll in her house. This is now her doll's house. And as you're moving through the ride, it's building and building and building, and she's getting more and more possessed looking and more angry. There are ghosts flying overhead. There are demons coming out of sort of doll version of Emily. At one point, there's a really cool Pepper's Ghost effect, actually, where you are traveling in your little carriage and there's mirrors along one side of you, and Emily's image keeps on flashing up in the mirrors, so you're drawn that way, and then you notice you see yourself in the reflection of the mirror, and then alongside you you can see what looks like a little ghost girl sat in the carriage with you. And I realised quite early on this is a Pepper's Ghost effect, so there's another carriage running parallel to you with a little doll in it that's kind of making it look like this ethereal ghost girl is sat in the carriage with you. But it's a really, really cool effect and a kind of creepy moment. The crescendo of all this is as you are nearing the end of the ride's kind of speeding up. There's lots of things flashing and lightning and thunder, and all of a sudden you turn a corner and this giant girl, which is now Emily because it's as if you've shrunk down and gone into her doll's house, is crashing through the wall, her eyes black, her arm reaching out for you, kind of possessed looking. And it was, even for me, who I'd kind of heard that this was how the ride ended, even I was kind of a bit like jolted a little bit in my seat because the size of this thing was enormous and it was quite shocking to see. So overall, the ride was really good. It seemed to go on a lot longer than what I remembered, so whether they've actually added more track to it, I couldn't really tell. There were some elements from the old Haunted House and Jewel that were still there, but a lot of the elements were new. It was all very doll related. There were lots of creepy dolls with melted faces and all that kind of stuff going on. It was pretty cool. I really liked it generally. There were some sections I found a little bit too dark, where you were basically, there was maybe a second or two where you were riding and nothing was going on around you, were just in complete darkness. That I felt maybe let it down a little bit, and some areas where maybe the audio wasn't quite as clear as what it could have been. But other than that, generally, this was a really, really, really good haunted house, and I'm so pleased that Alton Towers have taken the time to make what was always one of my favourite parts of the park even better and bring it back to life. Bring it into the 21st century almost. So anyway guys, that was just my quick review of this awesome ride after my lovely, amazing, fun day at Alton Towers, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.